the best out of a day that's like going into the tanker, that's seriously crushing our souls? And how do we take that day and really give ourselves those incremental, those small victories? That's what we're going to talk about today on Sales Chatter.
Yes.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly. All right. So, okay. So first things first, for everybody watching, listening, I do apologize. DJ and I are coming up with a new intro to the show. When we tell you about kind of what's happened to, the day yesterday, I think it's going to be pretty entertaining because, DJ, yesterday we talked about, coming out of the year and making the best out of, the year. And how do you start with, just sheer veracity and this drive to go to your goals? And, how do you do it with style, with effort, with energy,
Right.
with joy?
Uh-huh.
And then you and I get off and I get a phone call. And then all of a sudden I have to make a phone call and I sit on hold with a utility company for 45 minutes. Actually ended up being about an hour and 25 minutes that I was on the call with them.
Oh.
And then another call comes in and then something happens. Another call comes in. And just so everybody knows, full transparency, I had over 3.5 hours scheduled. And DJ, how many times did we hold these bad boys up yesterday? You got to live by this.
Yeah. And exactly what happened. Life got in the way.
It happened.
The fires started burning, and
Oh,
you
brother,
had to react.
it was like, you know, to be real, um, you know, horrible situation in Colorado where 1,000 homes went up, but that's literally how I felt like my day was yesterday.
Yeah.
And I don't, please, I don't mean any ill by it. It's a, you can imagine the terror and the horror that would happen if that was our community or your community.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
it's really what happened to me. And so I had 3.5 hours of an 8-hour day scheduled to make sales calls. I didn't make one, DJ, not one follow-up. Now, here's the big thing, I think, and the big takeaway that I think, I really want to hear from you as to what you do is when a day is going bad. And I mean, listen, we have some days that go bad and we have some days that go really bad.
Oh, yeah.
But when a day is going bad for you, what are your top strategies? What are the things you do? How do you reset your mind to help take control and even just gain an incremental victory in that day?
And I think, yeah, you nailed it right on the head with that. And so everybody, listen, I was living this through Dan yesterday because so full disclosure, Justin, if you're out there, I apologize. I fell flat too. So bad timing, bad thing.
Oh, I wasn't even going to bring up the fact that you were late for a meeting.
Oh, listen, I'll bring it up. I'll tell myself. I mean, it happened. But yeah, just bad timing
So
and
hold on
inbox.
now. Wait. Hold on. In the span of 4 weeks, DJ's missed a meeting and he's been late for a meeting. Okay, I'm seeing a pattern here, brother.
Oh man, listen, that's life getting in the way completely. No, and
Totally.
that's and so when it happens, really, you just gotta. Truly, it's the new book that I've been listening to over and over that I told you, Trev's book, Moed of It Takes What It Takes. Oh my goodness, just neutral thinking. In those moments, I think that's literally. So what neutral thinking is, I guess to break it down like the easiest is literally, if you think of it like a car. So things go bad. Things happened yesterday. I was late. You had your phone call debacle. Well, those happened. It happened. It's done. So what do we do now? And so we can't just go from going backwards because those took us backwards to right away running forward. We have to stop. We have to really just get in ourselves and then think of what's that next step. What was our goal for, I talked about my weekly goals are on what's going on. Our weekly goals are are in my book. And so I have 4 goals every week that I'm trying to, and again, if I don't get any of those goals, they just would move on and to the next week. But you always want to achieve those goals, but you always have to make changes as well. And that's where this neutral thinking, man, it really just to think of the big picture, the long goal, but then what's the next step? And so your small victories, I think, is key. It's just what's the next decision, the two choice idea. What's the next decision that's at least taking me there, and that's that small victory, and work off of those, and then just you got to fight through the rest of the day the best you can. But that's just what it is, and then whatever goals you didn't achieve that day, your 3 hour window, if you were only able to get to an hour of it, well, 2 hours went to today. You got to make it up somewhere, or move it, or later yesterday. Again, I don't know. We never ended up talking about how you kind of played that out, but that's, I
So,
mean,
I
that's,
mean, so here's what I did. Obviously, a couple of different things, I guess, to put this, I guess, into greater perspective, into context for everyone, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
you're living your day to day, and
yeah,
I don't think people truly grasp like what any individual does on a day to day because they're so focused on their day to day, right? Makes sense, right? Like,
of course.
so when we were
Absolutely.
talking, it was right after sales chatter. I had a block of time booked. So for yesterday, just so everybody knows, I had all five of my big five moves to achieve my goals. I've got five different major things I'm working on for 2022, and every one of those five big things is in my daily to-dos, right? I want to make an incremental step every day towards them based on the timeline that I've given myself. So I've taken the entire year and I've re-engineered it or dissected it to say, okay, I got to be here in order to meet this goal. I got to be here in order to meet this, and so on and so forth. So with that being said, part of it is about 3 hours a day of follow up and sales calls, like strategy, emails, calls, generating leads, generating prospects, generating new customers. And immediately when we hung up from sales chatter, my phone was ringing. And typically, what I do is I put everything on do not disturb while we do the show because I don't want to be disturbed by anyone while we're doing. I want to give the audience my full attention and be fully present. Um,
Same thing which teach you to do to the customer, guys. This is,
One,
yeah.
yeah, 100%. And when we hung up, it was we had this, and as silly as it sounds, but we had a real anomaly in a utility bill. So well, what I'm going to do is and I should have known this because like who gets on the phone with a utility company and it's a 10-minute call? Like no, you're on hold for 45 minutes, right?
Never.
So
I think, yeah, exactly.
I get on hold, and after about 10 minutes, and it's in full transparency, like I sat here staring at the wall for 10 minutes. Like never once did I say, okay, if I move this around and say for, consider it an hour that I'm doing this, why don't I build a sales page or do those graphics or the posts that I wanted to do where I can just sit with my phone either in my ear and, type away. But I never did that. I never took that pre-action to make that happen. So what it is, I end up sitting there for probably more like 20 minutes, complete dead zero productivity. And then I went, oh my gosh, like I'm doing nothing.
What am I doing?
So then I'm trying to get into it, and then they get on the phone. So, I lost 20 minutes there. I got about 3 minutes worth of work done in the next 10. So there's 30 minutes of productivity gone. And I know some of you might say, Dan, it's only 30 minutes, but 30 minutes a day is over 2.5 weeks of productivity at the end of the year. And it's so easy to lose 30 minutes a day, like so easy to lose 30 minutes. So I look at that and I said, okay, so I finished the phone call. Well, the phone call took like an hour and 10 minutes. So now we're an hour and 40 minutes in.
Oh
I
my
had a
goodness.
2 hour session planned. So now I'm 20 minutes before our meeting
Mhm.
yesterday afternoon
Yep.
with a guest that's coming on the show. So I look at it and probably like most people, I'm like, well, I don't want to be late for the meeting because not all of us are DJ, but I don't want to be late for the meeting. I don't want to be late for the meeting. So I'm like, okay, if I pick up the phone now and somebody answers and we get into a good conversation, I don't want to end that conversation. So here's the paradox, right? And I think this happens more often because if I started to think back in my sales career as a salesperson and all I did all day was sell, it's like that happens all the time where, you have a call with, or your customer says, I'll call you back in 15 minutes. And it's like, do you pick up the phone and make a sales call in that 15 minutes? You probably most likely will get 2 or 3 voicemails, and you can make 2 or 3 follow-ups. But there's always that, well, what if? And then the customer calls back and you can't answer for the customer. Because I've been on the phone with sales calls doing that, where there's like a 15-minute window. You're like, oh man, I'm going to make the most of this day. And and I'm on the call on a really good sales call, but the customer's calling back because he needs the answers. And I'm staring at my cell phone while I'm on the phone. And what happens? You completely disconnect from the sales call. Right.
Yeah.
So
You can only
this,
there's a rule. I forget what the rule was, but you can only, it's proven too. It's in the book that I was reading. You can only, it's physically only possible to think of and focus on one thing. That's why being totally
true.
present in the moment, you can only.
There's really no multitasking. I don't believe anyways. And maybe somebody's going to come back on chat here and say, Dan, you're a complete moron. But I don't believe. I believe you focus on one thing, and you get, if you marshals your focus on one task for 35, 40 minutes, it is amazing what can happen. But
Exactly.
so here we are. Now it's noon. Okay. I had 2 hours in the morning scheduled for sales calls. Now it's noon. I haven't made one. Right. Now, did we have a good meeting? Yes, we had a great
Absolutely.
meeting. Okay. Then all of a sudden I look and I say, okay, well, it's 12:30 now, or it's 12:45 when we finally hang up from the meeting. I've got a 1:00. I'm like, okay, now I'm in the same friggin' boat I was just in an hour and a half ago. Do I pick up the phone? And so 1:00 comes. I have something scheduled at 1. So what I did is this, and how I saved the day come 1:00 was this, is I had something from 1 to 2:30. I pushed that back from 1 to 2. Okay. So I gave myself a 30-minute gap there. And what I
Okay.
did is I said, I am going to like laser focus. I'm going to get the first part of this done. So what it was recording my weekly YouTube videos, my weekly YouTube training videos.
Yeah.
And if y'all haven't subscribed to my channel, go subscribe to my channel.
Yes.
But so it was recording. Now, typically what I do is I record and produce. So I said, that's not happening. I'm recording. Then at 2:00, I have a scheduled part of a corporate sales training that I'm doing is for 12 weeks. Anyone that comes into Inception from a corporate perspective, I give them 12 1-hour sessions with me once a week. So like 12 weeks we do. And it was at 2 to 3. So now we're now like think of this, DJ. We're
Yeah.
3:00 in the afternoon. I've made 0 sales calls. Right. So
And
what I did was
knowing you, because I know me in that same position, and any of you guys listening, you are in full panic mode, full like
well,
shit.
I'm
I
actually
need
in
to get
full
these calls. But
frustration mode.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'm in
frustration. Well, yeah,
right.
it's an anger, it's a frustration, it's a
Yeah.
damn. I
And
got to get
mainly
back on
because it's
track
like
with.
the first friggin' day back in the new year, and I'm already and here's the thing is like I'm already feeling like I've slipped.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
I get it. I get it. Yeah,
for for those of you listening and watching that don't actually don't know me personally, like I set massive goals that would literally make most people's sphincters tighten right up. And but I'm all about massive action. And my big issue that I'm working on this year is when things don't go my way, I get furious, like with myself, not with anybody else. I get furious with myself. And I end up doing what I did yesterday was I worked till 1:30 in the morning. So what I
Mhm.
did, and here was the strategy that helped me win. And I do believe in this strategy. Some people might say, holy crap, Dan, are you crazy? You work till 1:30 and then you're up at 6 and you're at it again. But here's the thing. What I did is I looked at the rest of the things, because every day I write out my 3 big things that I want to accomplish, like 3 big major tasks that I will, absolutely do. Then I write out 5 things that I must do today. I write out the people I got to contact, blah, blah, blah. So what I did is I looked at everything that needed to be done to make my day productive, because I had to shift. I knew hanging up the phone at 3:00 with this company to doing their sales training, I had like a 2-hour window.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that 2-hour window, because a lot of you are probably saying, well, Dan, you said you work till 1:30 in the morning. But I'm talking about like, 9 to 5, 8:30 to 5. That's a window of sales. So what can I accomplish to make me productive? So what I
Mhm.
did is I revamped my schedule right away. Like, and that's why I use these Frixon markers or pens for all of my agenda, because they're erasable, because
Oh,
I have to have my agenda neat, right? So I erased everything and I said, okay, what is going to make the most productive day in my mind? so I can put my head down on my pillow tonight. What can I do after hours? So what I did is all my email responses, I moved. I took them right out of my schedule and I started to do things for people live. So I started to go back to my LinkedIn contacts that I was supposed to follow up with. I started following up with them. I started sending emails, following up with the LinkedIn contacts during the day.
Yeah.
And then what I did is I got on the phone with 3 people from 3 to 5 yesterday, and I had the conversations that I needed to have during the
Nice.
business day. And then what I did is I saved all my emails until I got into bed last night, and I just sat there with my laptop and I replied to emails. I
Yeah.
edited my YouTube video at like 4:30, produced it and posted it by 5:30, I think it was. And then I kind of revamped things. So,
Yeah.
yesterday,
Yeah.
I think a big piece of what we missed yesterday, DJ, was it was very bang, 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 bang. Like, here's your agenda, like mark it
Yeah.
out and do with it. And I
Yeah.
think we missed a big piece of the puzzle. So I apologize to everyone that watched yesterday and might have taken it as you gotta, if you write it down in your schedule, it's gotta
Yeah.
be where shit's gonna happen, things are gonna get in the way. Um, in our inner circle, Ryan posted that Spotify
Yeah.
shit, and I should have, we'll get the name for you tomorrow. But man, that's 17 minutes of gold, man, gold, because you're listening to it, and it's like the one thing that he said is he goes, like, come on, man, he goes, you're the one that chooses to eat that donut. Like
Yeah.
just own up to this shit. And it's like, you're right. And so I started looking, and here's the thing is there's one thing, DJ, that I see anyways, and I know we're on the same wavelength here, where it's like, okay, things go bad, but
Yeah.
the choices I make in this moment are going to determine if the day is good. And
Yeah.
I think if I'm really starting to like we think of the gifts that we're given, right? And as I was just telling you off air, so for everybody watching, yeah, everyone watches it. So I turned 45 this year. I turned 45 at the beginning of December, and I got a really cool gift, which is I now need readers all of a sudden. And I swear, I had 20/20 vision going into December, and we were sitting on Christmas Eve playing a game, because Christmas Eve we always play games as a family, and we're playing a game, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me! Like literally, like 20 something days after my birthday, I can't see, and I literally, like, these are just plus ones, like they're just the dollar store
Yeah.
glasses,
Yeah.
but it's like my wife gave me hers, and I'm like, oh my god, I can see clearly now. The fog is gone, and I apologize for ruining everybody's eardrums there with that,
That's
but it's like, what am
I
I,
like it too.
so am I going to be pissed off about it? Or I'm going
Yeah.
to say, okay, now it's something I got
Exactly.
to adopt
Now
to. I
what?
got to, I'm still not at the point where I'm like, where are my glasses? Like I'm not, but I know it's coming, brother. I mean,
Oh, it's
it is,
yeah. Yeah.
it's that so in the end, I know I'm babbling, and I've been babbling for probably 10 minutes now, but it's in the end, it was that stop, look at what's left. And I think this is where agendas and day planners and all, and whether you do it online, like on your Outlook or whatever,
Yeah.
really, really, really become impactful. Because it's like I was able to look and say, okay, this, and I almost played like Tetris for a minute. I'm like, bing, 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 bing. Okay, that works. Okay, I need to maybe just up that by half hour, so give myself half hour less, which means I'm, it's kind of like what we were talking about in last year. We were talking about, like, if you're listening to audiobooks, a really cool tool is listen to it at 110%.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
just a little bit faster. You still got to pay a little bit more attention. So it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
found at the end of the day, was I as productive as I set out to be? No, because the reality is I lost, over 3 hours um, of time that I feel was not productive for business. Now, on the flip side of it, it was productive because the utility company were actually made a huge, like a $400 mistake on my bill. So I saved 400 that day, but you know what I'm saying? So
Oh yeah.
sorry, I know I've been babbling, and we got some people saying good morning. So there's Jeff
No.
saying
No.
good morning. Good
Good
morning, Jeff.
morning, everybody.
So we've got Jacob, who says, Dan, to all those people who thinking working to 1 in the morning is crazy, quit doing your best and start doing what it takes. The difference between the two is is where the magic happens. Thank
Bingo.
you. Thank
Yeah,
you, Jake.
and
You
Jacob's
know,
right. Listen, in the end, that book, it takes what it takes, guys. Success takes what it takes. There, uh, we're fooled by the idea. Like I mean, you hit it on the head. You know, are you gonna eat this apple or are you gonna eat this bag of chips? I mean, life is really, it is that simple to really think of
now
it.
the question is, do you have hell of a good dip with the chips? Because that
Well,
makes a
yeah,
big
of course.
difference.
Well, yeah. With some original A's, yeah, let's do it.
You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? But
but
absolutely, brother.
exactly.
Absolutely. And you know, and
And
here's
it's
the
the
thing
small
is,
victories. In the
mhm,
end, it's the small victories, guys. You got to
mhm.
hold on to the small victories. And we talked about that yesterday too. You know, you always have to be ready and plan for the okay, if this happens now. And so yesterday, you know, yesterday wasn't a loss. You made up for it. You you shifted your schedule, moved things around. You made it fit, and and then it's just prioritizing. We talked about that yesterday as well. Okay, so because of your situation, because and that happens on a daily basis to everybody. I mean, come on, that happens to me all the time. That happens to everybody. And so it's just being able to then prioritize, remember what's the most important, and then okay, well, this happened. There's nothing we could do. So let's focus back and get at least our number one thing done, or even just the smallest victory. Again, just the smallest victory, guys. What's Ryan say?
Ryan says, "Morning, brothers."
Morning,
And you
Ryan.
know, and here's the thing is it is true. And if we look, you know, like listen, in our industry, it's so dynamic, right? And I can't tell you how many days I've walked into the, I mean, tens of thousands of days. I've walked into the office with one intention and walked out of the office going, I didn't even come close to getting that done. And I've beat myself up over and
Yeah,
over and over and over and over again.
don't do it.
And, you know, yesterday, yeah, you know, full transparency. Did I end the day? I mean, you and I spoke. I
Yeah,
sent a message in our inner circle. You know,
yeah,
Ryan was part of it where I'm like,
yeah,
you know what? This just, it friggin' blew. It blew hard.
yeah.
But I was able to recover just a little. Do you know what I mean? And then,
Yeah, and
yes, I worked till close to, it was probably about 1:30, 1:45 in the morning by the time I shut my computer down. And the only reason I shut my computer down is because I didn't have my power cord and I was about to die, or else I probably would have kept going. But I think the big thing for us as humans, because you and I both know, right? Like Tony Robbins says it great, motion creates emotion. Like
absolutely.
when we're unmotivated, all we really need to do is take one step closer to our goal and we get remotivated. Right? It's
The
like
indecision.
it's the way we sit, it's the posture, it's the energy, it's what we bring to ourselves. And some people, we talked about this before, some people use YouTube videos. You know, yesterday
I need
my
them.
kind of my shift was the Spotify podcast that Ryan posted in our inner circle.
Yeah,
Or it's like I you know, over the Christmas holiday, I didn't listen to it. I was like, oh, cool, I'll listen to it. And then he posted that picture with the writing, and I'm reading it. And I'm like, interesting. That's the same guy. So then I hit play on the podcast, and it was like immediately, it's you empower yourself to take back your day, I guess is the best way to put it.
yes, yes.
And I looked at it and I said, and it was really the first time I realized like what it was I needed to do. And that's why it's a topic today, because subconsciously I think we do things, but we might do the wrong things at the right things at the wrong time, if that makes sense. So
No,
for
absolutely.
example, I could have said, "Oh, well, I'm going to get my emails done and reply back to people that it didn't need a reply that day." But I
Mhm.
stopped and I consciously said, you know what? No, 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 no. That's not what's going to make the day productive. I need to solidify this meeting, solidify this meeting, solidify this meeting. So at least I have things in the calendar to move my business forward into my goals for 2022, right? I
Yeah.
can't let Jeff win. Like that's just all there is to it. Hey Jeff, I know you're listening. I know you're watching, brother, but I can't let you win, my man. Jeff and I got a big bet. We got some.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a
listen,
big bet.
the payout is a steak dinner with some nice. He's going to drink cognac. I'm going to drink water because I don't drink. But
Yeah,
or I think he said scotch. I think he's going for the old like
he's
75, 80
going,
year
yeah,
old
yeah, he's
scotch.
going high
You got to
end. He's going high.
remortgage your house,
He's bringing it
get
to
one
you.
glass.
No,
But but I can't let Jeff win. So
no,
I've got so I've got like I sit and I go, okay, what am I going to do? And then I turn on that podcast. And some people might say, Dan, you mean to tell me you're in the middle of like the shit and you go and turn on a podcast? Like, how is that
I,
going to help? But
I do it all
it's
the time.
15, yeah, but it's 15 minutes and it transformed the last part of my afternoon. So, for all of you watching, listen, go grab that best motivational speech ever. I mean, not an hour one, because I think that's a little much.
Yeah.
It only takes 3 to 5 minutes. Like, I think I listened to the first
E-
3.5 minutes. I
Listen,
revamped
guys,
my
don't
schedule and I listened to the rest.
and listen, guys. And I'm glad you brought this up, Dan, because that's literally if I have those moments, and that's what kind of this book really that I'm again that Trev book, but kind of re-emphasized to me. But I've done it even before. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What do
Jeff
you?
says I'm going down. I landed another one and we're only on day 5. That's okay, brother.
Uh,
That's okay. Hey, you know
but
what? It's
but
like
like
the
but like
turtle
you
and
said,
the tortoise and the hare, man. It's like the
yes,
tortoise and the hare, brother. You come out, you go waste all your energy. It's all good. Deegan's coming back. Don't worry, brother. I'm
I
chill.
love it. I love it. But anyway, like you
We're
said, so
trash
the
talking at 9:30 in the morning,
I
brother. I love
know.
it.
Well, see, you're clearly back on track. And guys, he gave you an inside look. He gave you an inside look at I mean, a high level, a high level achiever's mindset. I mean, what Dan was just walking you through and saying. I mean, that's how the high level achievers get there. How they think. It's they have these extremely high goals. Shit happens. Okay, what do I need to do? Refocus. And here's the thing, guys, even more to that, the 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I usually take 10 or 15. And that 10 or 15 minutes might seem like, okay, you're in the shit, everything's going on, world falling apart, you're already behind schedule, but now you're playing catch up and your mindset and your body and everything about you is in, oh no, oh no, oh no. So if you take 10, 15 minutes, motivational clip, meditation, something, and just get back into okay, what do I need and focus. What's next step? Just the next step.
Mhm,
And that's how I
mhm,
restart back over. Okay, what do I got to
mhm.
do now? Shit,
And
that
do you
that
think,
went bad. But
DJ,
what?
that a part of it is also um, accepting the fact that some days are, and I don't mean this in any minimization or anything, like mentally or from a goal perspective. It's just
Yeah,
some days are going to be better than others, but
of
it's
course.
how we make the most out of the day that we have, and
Yeah,
even how we make the most out of the hour we have. And listen, like I just said, I I felt personally, again, full transparency, I felt I wasted over an hour and a half yesterday because we had like a 15-minute window, 20-minute window where I'm like, I can't. So, what I'm
yeah,
now today, what is part of my goals today is how am I going to be productive in a 15-minute window? So what does that mean? Does that mean, you know,
mm,
just getting on LinkedIn and writing another post that maybe will catch the attention of my next customer? Possible. And I don't know what that answer is. So if any of you are watching or listening, info@dandeegan.com,
yeah,
or type it in the chat. Like, what do
yeah,
you do when you have a 15-minute gap where it's like, okay, if I pick up the phone, I get on a call, fuck, I'm going to screw myself for the next call? Or like, what is your
yeah,
process? I'd love to hear it because, hey, I don't even care if you've been 2 weeks in the industry. Tell me your process because
yeah,
we learn from everyone.
yeah.
Oh,
Listen, guys.
look at Jeff. Look at Jeff. He goes and makes a hair
Uh,
joke. Goes and makes a hair
no.
joke. He says, I have the
Uh,
hair. You must be the tortoise. You know, just is yeah, and I love you, Jeff, but you're a Teen Wolf looking mofo. You know what I'm saying? So you got all the hair in the world. I get it. I got a 7 head. I get it. I get it. Some people have a 4 head. I got a 5 head because my whole hand fits on my forehead. But you go make
oh my
hair
god,
jokes
this
now.
is so
Man,
good.
telling you. Ryan says, if I'm second guessing it, I go for a walk to clear my head. Okay, Ryan, bang. So here's the thing. Here's my question. Do you think a walk is a waste of time, or is it a motivator to get more productive in the next coming hour or two? That I think is the Jeff says laugh my ass off. Sorry. You're awesome, Jeff. I don't care what DJ says.
Oh,
So but so you think
what a day.
about it, right? Ryan goes for a walk. What gets you back into the zone? And it's something I'm going to be working on today, and I'll share with all y'all tomorrow. I got no problem with it, but it's like, what gets you back in the zone?
I'm gonna answer, see if I can answer Ryan's, because I think me and Ryan, our circle is very on the same wave. But Ryan, is it your why? Does your why get you back focused? Because that's literally in that 15-minute meditation motivation.
Mm.
Just focusing on my why. Why am I even doing what I'm doing?
You know what
Why am
Ryan
I?
says here? You know what? Let's do this, and this is probably a better one. Oh, never mind. Oh, here.
Hey, yeah, yeah.
Um, So we got, wow, look at this. We got all sorts of stuff. So
Hey,
Ryan
that's
says
cool.
motivator is easily I get to take my dogs out and I see nature and reconnect. So Ryan's motivator is nature. It's where it's like you kind of
Yeah,
ground yourself and you bring
I
yourself
get that.
back to, okay, listen, I'm blessed. I've got an opportunity to make the most of my situation. He says, and coming back and seeing my house, that's my why. It's betting on myself. I got to know that rent is due.
Boom.
Ooh, that's interesting. That's
There
interesting.
it is.
So, there's a right? Like, what is it? What motivates you to make things happen? And I
And to
and
stay on
I
track.
truly, as I start thinking about it, DJ, like, what a great opportunity to just be the best we can be by just re-engaging and reconnecting and hey, this is going wrong. Okay, how do I get back on the horse and make it the best I could possibly make it given the situation? It reminds me of, I'm a big Napoleon Hill fan, as you know.
Hey,
And I've got a lot of audios that I paid a lot of money for, where they're not typically on the market. Like I'm friends with Don Green, the CEO of Napoleon Hill Foundation, and I was able to get some audios that not very many people have. And in one of them, so Napoleon Hill's son Blair was born without ears, right? So they said, like, listen, he's never going to hear in his life. And Napoleon Hill said, I will make it so he hears. And I remember this vividly. He says the doctor put his arm around him. He said, listen here, Napoleon, sometimes in life, we can't, we have no control over what happens. And and what he said was very interesting. And it's something that I guess subconsciously I've been working with, but now it's just brought it to the forefront, which is going to change everything. Where he said,
yeah,
no, that's not accurate. He goes, there's always something we can do, even if it's as simple as being conscious about it and not letting it destroy our vitality, destroy
that's
our
huge.
drive, our desire, our ambition. And
Absolutely.
our spirit, I think is the word he said, destroy our spirit. And as I say it, I sit there and I say, wow, certain
Wow.
things
Yeah.
we can't control, but how are we going to not let it destroy our spirit for the day? Because that's what's going to drive us to the next level. And listen, inch by
Absolutely.
inch, anything's a cinch. Really, like, and I mean, listen, did I have major plans yesterday to like crush it because I want to just crush Jeff? No. I mean, yes, I did have major plans. Did it work? No. But did I do small incremental victories? Yes. Right. And it's not just Jeff. It's just in general. I just like harassing Jeff. We've got great banter going back and forth, and I have
I
a feeling
love it.
this is
I
going to be
love
an
it. Yeah, keep
ongoing.
it going. We got to keep that going. I'm gonna find a way to keep that going.
Yeah,
um,
so Jeff says I have to break away to clear my head. It helps to think
yeah,
about what I did right, what I did wrong, and how I can correct it. But first, you have to set yourself before getting into the trenches. That is so true, brother. So true, and I'm so glad that
and
you're
and
you're.
in the end, guys, you just don't beat yourself up. Listen, realize it's life. We're not, nobody's perfect. We're gonna make bad decisions, bad choices here or there. It's how we recover from them. I mean, everything in life, everything of where we're at is all by our decisions or our choices. Wherever we're at right now, wherever you guys are at right now, it's every decision that you've made to this point. Don't question it. Don't second think it. Don't beat yourself up about it. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? And start making those decisions. Reverse engineer it, think about what it's going to take to get there, and then just one small step at a time. That's it.
Mhm. Talking about what it's going to take to get there. We're super excited to announce we've officially got one sponsor for the show, which is super awesome. So, Daman Grewal, if you're listening, if you're watching, my friend, thank you so much for Centurion
Yes.
Trucking and American Logistics for sponsoring the Sales Chatter show. Listen, if any of you are really looking to help make this industry a better place, if you're a driver looking to get off the road, if you're an agent looking to work for a different company, Daman and his team at Centurion are looking for Canadian agents. They haven't quite broken to the US market. It's more of a Canadian thing. Centurion Trucking runs from Western Canada down to Illinois, down to Ohio, to Toronto and back. So if you got any freight in those areas that you're really looking for a company that truly respects and honors the industry, to give you, sell your image, credibility, and brand to your customers, to create that dynamic bond in that relationship, give Daman a call. In the bottom of the show notes, you'll see Daman's email. Send him an email, tell him you heard about
All right.
his business on Sales Chatter, and help him achieve the goal of trying to make this industry a much better place.
Absolutely.
Daman's full perspective is people before profits, and his perspective, his whole team is a member of Inception. Daman's been a great contributor to the industry as a whole, and he's looking to scale his business in 2022. So if you guys have any, especially in today's market with, fractured supply chains, challenges out west, not even with the landslides, but with the freezing cold temperatures that are happening, Daman's there ready and willing to help you guys get where you need to go. DJ, you want to close us out with a quote, my friend, or do we have one?
Absolutely. Got one. But I do want to thank Daman as well. And guys, so I just talked to Daman here briefly here and there. But everything that Dan talks so highly about him. And if you just listen, guys, social media, businesses do it. Little inside tip for anybody who's looking for a new job 2022. Your social media, everybody's looking. So, so Daman, stalk his LinkedIn. You'll see this guy is the real deal. He's an amazing guy. You can see from the stuff he shares and what he says. And so that's why he's a great sponsor for us, because we really do want to change the industry and change just the way people do things. It's all about people and working together. It's not me. Everybody's got to get away from the self victory, and it's all about team in the end.
I agree.
But so my quote for today, and again, so thank you, Daman. Quote for today is acknowledge all of. So this is by Kara Goucher. And it's acknowledge all of your small victories. They will eventually add up to something great.
It's a great way to end the show. We'll see you tomorrow, my friends.
See you tomorrow, everybody. Have a good day.